Hello listener, if you're hearing this, you've probably been in maybe as a kid, maybe something your parents built in the backyard. 8 feet off the ground, wooden planks nailed to a tree, a rope ladder, a place to play, a place to hide from the world for an afternoon. Then you grew up, came back down, forgot about it, never thought about what it would be like to live in one, to survive in one, to spend 100 days 100 feet above the ground while the world below you died and the infected wandered through forests looking for prey they couldn't reach. If you're new here, hit subscribe and comment where you're listening from. My name is Outbreak FM, and this is the story of Marcus Chen, a park ranger who survived the zombie apocalypse by going up instead of running away, who built a platform in a giant sequoia and lived there for 100 days, who learned that height equals safety, that trees provide everything you need if you know how to use them, and that isolation at 100 feet is different from isolation on the ground, more complete, more absolute, more crushing. This is how he survived by climbing, and how he nearly died from staying up too long. My name is Marcus Chen, I'm 28 years old. Before the outbreak, I was a ranger for the National Park Service, stationed at Sequoia National Park in California. Sequoia is famous for its giant sequoia trees, the largest trees on Earth by volume. Some of these trees are over 3,000 years old, over 300 feet tall, over 30 feet in diameter at the base. They're ancient, massive, indestructible, perfect for climbing, perfect for hiding, perfect for surviving. I'd been a ranger for 4 years. My job was protecting the park, enforcing regulations, maintaining trails, helping visitors, monitoring wildlife, preventing fires. I loved it, loved the forest, loved the solitude, loved being away from cities, from crowds, from civilization. I'd spend weeks alone in the back, just me and the trees and the wilderness. I knew every trail, every landmark, every giant sequoia in my district. I could navigate the forest blindfolded, could identify trees by touch, could survive out here indefinitely if I needed to. That knowledge saved my life, because when the outbreak hit civilization, I was already in the wilderness, already isolated, already equipped to survive alone. I just had to adapt, had to change my survival strategy from ground-based to vertical, had to go up. The outbreak started on September 1st, 2024, a Saturday, Labor Day weekend. The park was packed, maybe 10,000 visitors, families, hikers, campers, normal holiday crowd. I was on patrol in the giant forest area, the grove containing the largest concentration of giant sequoias. Beautiful area, peaceful, until the radio started screaming, "Dispatch, all rangers, emergency alert." Violent incidents reported at multiple campgrounds, people attacking each other, medical says unknown illness, aggressive behavior, biting, bleeding, possible rabies outbreak. All rangers respond. Code red. Code red meant all hands emergency. Drop everything. Respond immediately. I was 5 miles from the nearest campground. Started hiking fast. Heard screaming through the trees. Heard gunshots. Rangers carried sidearms for wildlife, rarely used them on humans. Heard chaos. I reached the campground. Saw horror. Infected. I didn't know that word yet. Just saw people acting wrong, attacking others, biting, ripping, not running away when shot, not responding to commands, just killing. The rangers were overwhelmed. Visitors were fleeing into the forest. Some were infected. Some were being infected. Some were dying. Blood everywhere. Bodies everywhere. End of the world happening in real time at a family campground. I tried to help. Tried to restore order. Tried to evacuate people. But there were too much chaos. Too much violence. I saw Ranger Stevens, my supervisor, get pulled down by 3 infected visitors. Saw him disappear under them. Saw the blood. Heard the screaming stop. He was gone. Just like that. 30 seconds from alive to dead to infected. I ran. Didn't help anyone else. Didn't try to save anyone. Just ran back into the forest. Away from the campground. Away from the infected. Away from death. I was a coward, but I was alive. And alive meant I could reassess, could plan, could survive. I hiked deep into the giant forest, away from trails, away from people, into the remote areas where tourists never went. I had my ranger gear, backpack with emergency supplies, water filter, first aid kit, knife, rope, flares, radio, sidearm Glock 19, 15 rounds, flashlight, map, compass. Not a lot, but enough. Enough to survive a few days while figuring out what came next. I found a massive sequoia, not the biggest that would attract attention, but big, maybe 250 feet tall, maybe 20 feet in diameter. Old growth, ancient tree, healthy, strong, Branches starting at about 80 feet up. Giant sequoias don't have branches near the ground. All the branches are in the upper canopy, but there were old fire scars, places where ancient fires had burned. Holes in the trunk, handholds, footholds, climbable. I made a decision, go up. If infected were on the ground, I'd go where they couldn't follow. I'd climb this tree, build a platform, live above them, use height as my defensive advantage. Trees had protected humans for millions of years. Trees would protect me now. Day one, I climbed, used the fire scars as a natural ladder, climbed carefully, slowly, testing each handhold, each foothold. A fall from even 20 feet could break bones, from 50 feet could kill. Had to be careful, had to be perfect. Took me 2 hours to climb to 80 feet where the first branches were. Massive branches, each branch was bigger than most normal trees. 3 to 4 feet in diameter, strong enough to hold a car, strong enough to hold me and a platform and supplies. I found a good spot. Junction of 3 branches, forming a natural way shape, perfect for building. I had rope from my pack, had my knife, had basic tools, could build something, could create shelter, could make this work. I spent day 1 and day 2 building a basic platform, used fallen branches from the tree itself. Giant sequoias constantly drop small branches. I just had to collect them, lash them together with rope, created a platform maybe 6 feet by 6 feet, not big, not comfortable, but stable, strong, secure, 80 feet above the ground, high enough that infected couldn't reach me, low enough that I could climb up and down relatively safely. Day 3. I realized the fundamental problem. I was safe, but I had no supplies. Had maybe 2 days of food, emergency rations from my ranger pack. Had 1 liter of water. Had no way to get more without going down. Going down meant infected, meant risk, meant potential death. But staying up meant starvation and dehydration, meant certain death. I was trapped, safe but doomed. I went down on day 4, climbed down carefully, reached the ground. Forest was quiet, no infected visible. I moved fast, knew the area. There was a ranger station half a mile away. Maybe supplies there, maybe food and water, maybe equipment. Worth the risk. I reached the station. Door was open. Inside was chaos, overturned furniture, blood, signs of struggle, but also supplies, food stores, water bottles, medical supplies, tools, rope, tarps, everything I needed. I loaded my backpack, took as much as I could carry, maybe 40 pounds, then heard them, infected, coming through the trees, multiple infected, moving toward the station, toward me, toward prey. I ran back to my tree, infected followed, I climbed, they couldn't. They gathered at the base of the tree, looking up, reaching, groaning, that sound, that wet, wrong sound, but they couldn't climb, couldn't follow. I was safe, 80 feet up, watching them below, watching them fail to reach me. The tree had saved me, height had saved me, vertical survival worked. Day 5 I started improving my platform, used the supplies from the ranger station, added more branches, created a roof using a tarp protection from rain and sun, created walls using more tarp and rope, not solid walls, but wind, created storage areas, organized everything, made it livable, made it home. This platform at 80 feet in a giant sequoia was now my residence, my fortress, my world. The platform was small, final dimensions 8 feet by 10 feet, 80 square feet total, smaller than most bathrooms. That was my entire living space. I could stand up, the branches overhead were 7 feet high. I'm 5 feet 10, had clearance. I could lie down, 8 feet was just enough to stretch out. I could sit, could move around slightly, but not much. It was cramped, confined, claustrophobic, but it was mine, and it was safe. I established a system for water, rain collection. I set up my tarp at an angle. Rain would hit the tarp and flow to one corner. I'd position a bottle at that corner. Rainwater would drip directly into the bottle. Passive collection, no effort required. When it rained, and it rained often in the Sierras, I'd collect maybe 2 to 3 liters per storm, enough to survive, enough to stay hydrated, as long as it kept raining, as long as I didn't knock over a bottle, as long as the system worked. Food was harder. I had maybe 10 days of food from the ranger station. After that, I'd need to find more. But how? I was 80 feet up, couldn't exactly go grocery shopping, couldn't hunt. Had a handgun, but shooting would attract infected, and I only had 15 rounds total. Couldn't fish, no water nearby, had to forage, had to use what the tree provided. Giant sequoias produce cones, small cones only about 2 inches long. Inside are seeds, tiny seeds. Each cone contains maybe 200 seeds. Each seed is smaller than a grain of rice. Not much attrition, but edible. I could eat them, could survive on them if desperate. The tree was literally providing food. Not good food, not sustaining food, but something. I also had access to bark. Giant sequoia bark is thick sometimes, 2 feet thick on old trees. Fire resistant, spongy, and the inner bark there cambium layers edible. Native Americans ate it, early settlers ate it. Survival food. I could strip small sections of bark, expose the cambium, scrape it off, eat it. Tasted terrible, texture like wood pulp, but had some nutritional value, enough to keep me alive, enough to prevent complete starvation. Day 10, I climbed higher. The platform at 80 feet was good, but I wanted to see farther, wanted better visibility, wanted to understand what was happening in the park, in the world, wanted information. I climbed to 100 feet, then 120 feet. The branches got smaller up here, less stable, more dangerous, but the view was incredible. I could see for miles, could see the entire giant forest, could see smoke fires burning somewhere, could see movement infected wandering through the forest in groups, could see the scope of the disaster, could see that this wasn't just local, this was everywhere. I saw something else, another survivor, not close, maybe a mile away, but visible, someone on the ground, moving carefully, scavenging, alone, alive. I wasn't the only one who'd survived. Others had made it. Others were out there. I thought about signaling, about making contact, about joining forces, but I didn't, because contact meant risk, meant trust, meant vulnerability. I'd survived alone so far, would keep surviving alone. Safer that way, simpler that way, lonelier that way, but safer. Day 12, I nearly fell. I was climbing down from my observation post at 120 feet when a branch broke. Rotted branch. Looked solid but wasn't. It snapped under my weight. I fell, grabbed desperately, caught another branch, held on dangling 100 feet up, arms screaming, heart pounding. If I let go, I'd fall, might hit branches on the way down, might survive with broken bones, might die just like that. One wrong move, one bad branch, one split second of carelessness. Dead. I pulled myself up, got secure, sat there shaking for an hour, couldn't move, couldn't think, just processed how close I'd come to dying. Not from infected, not from starvation, from falling, from gravity. The tree was keeping me safe from infected below, but it could kill me just as easily if I wasn't careful. I had to be perfect. Every climb, every movement, every decision, perfection or death. Those were my options. Day 15, I expanded my platform. Needed more space, needed storage, needed comfort. I climbed down to the ranger station again. Took more supplies, took lumber. The station had spare boards for trail repairs, took nails, took a hammer, carried them up the tree. Laborious work, multiple trips, but I got it done. Built a second platform above the first, created a two-level first level, sleeping and storage. Second level, observation and living. Total space, 150 square feet now. Still cramped, but better, much better. The second platform was at 85 feet. Just 5 feet above the first, but that 5 feet made a difference. Better airflow, better view, better separation between living and sleeping. Better psychology made the space feel bigger even though it wasn't much bigger. Made it feel like home instead of survival shelter. Day 18, I killed my first infected from the tree. One was wandering directly below, standing at the base, looking up, always looking up, like it knew I was there, like it could sense me. It bothered me, made me uncomfortable, made me feel watched, so I decided to kill it. Used gravity as a weapon. Collected a large branch, maybe 20 pounds. Dead wood, hard, heavy. Climbed to 100 feet. Positioned myself directly above the infected. Dropped the branch. It fell, accelerated, hit the infected in the head, crushed its skull, killed it instantly. The body fell, didn't move again. Dead. Truly dead. I felt satisfaction. Felt power. I could fight from up here. Could kill without risk. Could use the tree itself as a weapon. Gravity worked for me. Height was advantage. This was how I'd survive. Not by hiding, but by controlling the vertical battlefield. By using physics. By being smart. By staying up while everything below died. Day 20, I established routine. A system, a schedule, structure to prevent madness. To prevent the isolation from destroying my mind. Morning sunrise. 6:30 a.m. Wake up naturally, no alarm. Just sunlight, stretch, confined space, cause muscle tension, check rain collection, empty and refill bottles. Eat small breakfast, ration bars, or foraged food. Approximately 200 calories. Observe, scan the forest for threats. Movement. Changes midday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Maintenance repair platform. Check ropes. Inspects tree forage, collect cones, seeds. Edible bark, physical activity, climb up and down. Exercise, prevent atrophy, scavenging missions if safe. Descend to collect supplies, afternoon. 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Water collection, check for rain. Position tarps, food preparation, process seeds. Prepare bark, tool crafting, make improvements. Build storage, observation, watch for survivors, infected patterns. Weather, evening 7 p.m. dark. Eat dinner, largest meal, 400 calories, journal, write observations. Track days, maintain sanity, mental exercises, memory games, math problems. Prevent cognitive decline, sleep preparation, secure everything. Check whether this routine kept me sane, kept me purposeful, kept me human, because up here, alone, in an 8x10 platform, 85 feet above the ground, it would be easy to lose myself. Easy to forget I was human. Easy to become just another animal surviving in the trees. The routine reminded me I was Marcus Chen, ranger, survivor, human, still human. For now, 20 days in the tree. 20 days of vertical survival. 20 days of learning that up was better than out. That height was safety. That trees provided everything: shelter, water, food, defense. But also learning the costs. The isolation, the confinement, the constant danger of falling, the slow starvation on insufficient calories. The mental erosion from being alone in a space smaller than a prison cell. 20 days down, how many more until rescue? Until the world recovered? Until I could come down? I didn't know. Couldn't know. Just knew I'd survived 20 days. Would try for 21, then 22, then however many it took, one day at a time, 1 foot at a time, 100 feet at a time. That was survival now. That was life now. That was all there was. Day 21, I saw the other survivor again. Same person I'd spotted on day 10, but closer this time. Maybe half a mile away. Moving through the forest systematically, scavenging. I watched through my binoculars, had found them at the ranger station. Watched this person work. Efficient, careful, smart, avoiding infected, collecting supplies, surviving like me. Alone, like me. Then I saw something interesting. This person started climbing. Not my tree, a different giant sequoia, about 400 yards from mine. Climbed up, disappeared into the canopy. Stayed up there, didn't come back down. I understood immediately. Another tree survivor. Someone else who'd figured out the same strategy. Go up, stay up, live in the trees. We weren't so different. We'd both chosen vertical survival. We'd both become tree dwellers. We were neighbors, separated by 400 yards of forest and 100 feet of air. But neighbors. Day 22, I tried to make contact. Used my ranger radio, still had battery. Had been conserving it. Turned it on. Scanned frequencies. Most were dead static. But on channel 7, I heard breathing. Someone else with a radio. Someone listening. I spoke. This is Marcus Chen, Park Ranger, Sequoia National Park. If anyone can hear this, I'm alive. I'm in the giant forest. In a tree, surviving. If you're out there, respond. Silence. Then, I hear you. I'm Sarah, I'm in a tree too. Giant sequoia, southeast section. Been here 3 weeks. Thought I was alone. Contact. Human contact. First conversation in 22 days. Her voice was real. Proof I hadn't imagined her. Proof I wasn't the last person alive. Proof that others had survived. Had thrived. Had adapted. We talked for an hour. Compared strategies. Shared information. Learned from each other. She was 400 yards away. Close enough to see with binoculars. Too far to reach without descending. But close enough to communicate. Close enough to not be completely alone. We established a system. Radio contact twice per day. Morning at 8 a.m. Evening at 6 p.m. Check-ins. Sharing information. Maintaining connection. Maintaining sanity. The isolation had been crushing me. Now it was bearable. Shared. I wasn't alone anymore. Still physically alone. Still 100 feet up in my own tree. But connected. Linked. Part of something larger than just survival. Part of a community of 2. Day 25. Sarah suggested building a line between our trees. A zip line or rope bridge. Something physical. Something that would allow us to move between trees without descending to the infected-filled ground. It was ambitious, dangerous, but possible. We had rope, had trees, had motivation. We could do this. We planned carefully. Her tree was 400 yards away. We'd need 400 plus yards of rope. I had maybe 200 feet of rope total. Not enough. We'd need to scavenge more. Find climbing rope, utility rope, anything strong enough to hold human weight across that distance. And we'd need to engineer it. Make sure it was safe. Make sure it wouldn't snap and kill whoever was crossing. This would take time, take resources, take cooperation, but it would be worth it. Would create a network, would expand our survival capabilities, would make us stronger together than we were separately. Day 27, I descended on a scavenging mission specifically for rope. Hit 3 locations. The ranger station already depleted. A maintenance shed found 100 feet of climbing rope, and a campground storage area found 200 feet of utility rope. Total haul 300 feet of rope, added to my existing 200 feet. 500 feet total. Not quite enough for 400 yards, 1,200 feet, but a star. Sarah was doing the same. Between us, we might gather enough. The descent was dangerous. More infected were in the forest now. They wandered in groups, seemed to be migrating, moving together. I had to move carefully, avoid them, use stealth. I was getting better at it, learning their patterns. They were attracted to sound, to movement, to sight, but they were slow, clumsy, easy to avoid if you were quiet and patient. I collected the rope, got back to my tree, climbed up safe. Successful mission. 500 feet of rope richer, day 31, month in the tree. I took full inventory, platform status, size, 2 levels, 150 square feet, total height, 85 to 90 feet above ground condition, stable, well built, weatherproof, improvements needed, more storage, better rain collection supplies, food, 5 days remaining rations, unlimited forage, poor nutrition, water, 10 liters stored, rain collection, active sustainable if rain continues, rope, 500 feet, need 700 more for zipline tools, knife, hammer, saw, basic hand tools, weapons, handgun, 15 rounds remaining, used 0, gravity, unlimited medical, basic first aid, mostly intact clothing, ranger uniform wearing thin, 1 extra set physical condition, weight lost approximately 12 pounds, 185 gives 173, insufficient calories, fitness, declining, limited space for exercise, muscle atrophy, beginning injuries, minor cuts and bruises, 1 sprained finger from climbing, health, generally good, no infections, no illness, mental condition, isolation impact, severe before contact, moderate now. Sarah helps cognitive function, maintaining through routine and mental exercises, emotional state, stable but fragile mood swings, occasional despair, coping mechanisms, routine, journaling, radio contact with Sarah, threats, starvation, primary threat, losing weight steadily, dehydration if rain stops, I die, falls, constant danger, every climb could be fatal, infected below, cannot descend safely, trapped above them where the storms could destroy platform or kill me, isolation driving me slowly insane. Despite Sarah's contact, I'd survived 30 days, 1 month, longer than I'd expected initially, but I was deteriorating, losing weight, losing strength, losing hope slowly. The tree was keeping me safe from infected, but it was also a prison, an 8 by 10 cage suspended 85 feet above the ground. I could see the forest, see the world, but couldn't reach it, couldn't touch it, couldn't live in it, just observe it from above like a bird in a cage. A survivor in a cell, a man becoming less human every day. Day 33, I experimented with hunting from the tree. Saw a deer below, maybe 60 feet from the base of my tree. Perfect shot with my handgun if I was on the ground, but I was 85 feet up. Extreme angle, long distance, difficult shot, but worth trying. I needed meat, needed protein, needed calories desperately. The foraged food wasn't enough. I was starving slowly. I aimed carefully, accounted for the angle, for the distance, for the drop, took the shot loud, very loud. The sound echoed through the forest. The deer fell, hit, not a perfect shot, hit the shoulder instead of the heart, but wounded, dying. It tried to run, collapsed after 20 feet down, dead within a minute. Success. I'd killed it, had meat, had food, had salvation from starvation. But now I had a problem. The deer was on the ground. I was 85 feet up. I had to descend, had to process it, had to bring the meat up. And the gunshot had attracted infected. I could see them coming, drawn by the noise. Maybe 15 infected converging on my location, on the dead deer, on the food I desperately needed. I made a quick decision, descended fast, reckless, didn't care about safety, had to get to the deer before the infected did. Reached it with maybe 30 seconds to spare. Used my knife, field dressed it fast. Took the backstraps the prime cuts. Maybe 20 pounds of meat total. Left the rest. Didn't have time. The infected were 50 feet away. 40 feet, 30 feet. I climbed. Fast. Faster than safe. Didn't care. Had to get up. Had to escape. Had to survive. Made it to my platform with the infected at the base of the tree. Looking up. Reaching. Too late. I was safe. And I had meat. Fresh meat. Real protein. Real calories. 20 pounds of venison. That was maybe 20,000 calories. That was 2 weeks of food if I rationed carefully. I'd bought myself time. Bought myself survival. But I'd used one of my 15 bullets. 14 rounds remaining. Each bullet was precious. Couldn't waste them. Had to make every shot count. Had to hunt perfectly or not hunt at all. Day 35, I preserved the meat. Couldn't refrigerate, no power, no ice. Had to dry it. Made jerky. Cut the meat into thin strips. Hung it from branches around my platform. Let sun and wind dry it naturally. Would take days. But dried meat would last weeks. Months maybe. As long as it didn't mold. As long as animals didn't steal it. As long as I protected it. The tree canopy became a drying rack. My platform became a processing facility. I was learning, adapting, becoming a true tree dweller. Day 38. Sarah and I completed the rope bridge. Not a zipline, we didn't have the equipment for that. But a rope bridge. We'd each gathered enough rope. Had about 1,500 feet total between us. We coordinated. I'd throw a weighted line toward her tree. She'd catch it, took 7 attempts. Pull the heavier rope across, using the light line. We secured the rope to our respective trees. Created a line between us. Then added a second rope as a hand. Created a proper rope bridge. Functional. Terrifying, but functional. The bridge hung between our trees. 400 yards long. Suspended 90 feet above the ground. Made of climbing rope rated for 1,000 pounds. Safe in theory. Terrifying in practice. You'd walk on the bottom rope while holding the top rope for balance. Like a tightrope. Like a circus act. Like insanity. But it worked. It connected us. Meant we could visit each other without descending. Without risk from infected. We could trade supplies. Share resources. Help each other. Be community instead of isolated individuals. Day 40, I crossed the bridge for the first time. Terrifying doesn't describe it. The rope swayed with every step. The height was dizzying. The distance was overwhelming. One misstep meant falling 90 feet, meant death. But I went slowly, one step at a time. Hold the top rope, shift weight, move forward, breathe, don't look down, don't think about falling. Just move, just cross, just reach the other side. Took me 20 minutes to cross 400 yards. My hands were shaking when I reached Sarah's tree. My legs were weak. My heart was pounding. But I'd made it. I'd crossed, and Sarah was there. Another human, face to face for the first time in 40 days. We hugged, both crying, both overwhelmed, both grateful to not be alone, to have connection, to have community, to be human together instead of surviving alone. The bridge had changed everything. We weren't isolated anymore. We were neighbors, friends, partners, survivors together. Sarah's platform was similar to mine, maybe 10 by 12 feet, 2 levels well built. She'd been here 3 weeks started 9 days after me. She had different supplies, different skills. She'd been a botanist before the outbreak, knew plants, knew what was edible, knew how to forage better than me. We could complement each other, share knowledge, share resources, survive better together. Day 42, we established trade. I had meat, my hunting skills were better. She had plant knowledge, her foraging was superior. I'd hunt, she'd forage, we'd trade, share both, eat better, both survive stronger. The partnership was logical, beneficial, necessary. Alone, we were each barely surviving. Together we were thriving. The difference was dramatic, immediate, life-saving. I also learned her story. She'd been visiting the park when the outbreak started. Tourists got separated from her group, fled into the forest, hid in a cave for a week, ran out of supplies, realized she needed a better strategy. Saw the giant sequoias, had the same idea I'd had, go up, built her platform, survived. We'd both arrived at the same solution, independently. Vertical survival, tree dwelling, height as safety. Great minds think alike, or desperate people reach the same desperate solutions. Day 45, we built a pulley system between our trees. Using the rope bridge as a base, we added a pulley line. Now we could send supplies back and forth without crossing. Just load supplies into a bag. Attach to the pulley, pull from the other side. Receive supplies. Quick, easy, safe, no need to risk the rope bridge for every exchange. The pulley changed logistics, made trade trivial, made cooperation effortless, made the network stronger. We were building infrastructure, creating systems, developing civilization in the trees. To people, 2 platforms, 1 rope bridge, 1 pulley system, but it was civilization, it was cooperation, it was hope. Maybe others had survived. Maybe they'd built tree platforms too. Maybe we could connect them, create a network of survivors living in the trees. Above the infected, above the danger, safe, together, strong. Maybe civilization wasn't dead. Maybe it had just gone vertical. Maybe we were the future. Day 48, I hunted again. Needed more meat. Saw a rabbit, easier target than deer. Smaller, closer. I took the shot. Clean kill. But again, the noise attracted infected. More this time. Maybe 25. I descended. Retrieved the rabbit. Climbed back up. Same process. But I was getting faster. Getting better. Understanding the rhythm. Hunt, descend, retrieve, climb, escape, repeat. It was working. It was sustainable. As long as I had ammunition. As long as I didn't miss it. As long as I didn't fall. As long as nothing went wrong. Day 50. We had a visitor. Not infected, a person. Another survivor. On the ground. Walking through the forest. Carefully avoiding infected. We watched from above. Called out on the radio, broadcasted on all channels. Survivor on the ground. If you can hear this, look up. We're in the trees. We're friendly. We can help. They looked up, saw us, waved. Young guy. Maybe 20 years. Old. Scared. Desperate. Hungry. He'd been running for weeks. Hiding. Scavenging. Barely surviving. We told him to climb. To join us. To escape the ground. He tried. Got maybe 40 feet up. Then froze. Couldn't go higher. Too scared. Too exhausted. Too weak. Infected were coming. Drawn by our radio broadcasts. By his presence. By movement. He had to climb or die. We coached him. Encouraged him. Guided him up. 1 hand at a time. 1 foot at a time. Don't look down. Just climb. You can do this. You have to do this. He climbed. Slow. Shaking. Crying. But climbing. Reached 60 feet. 70 feet. 80 feet. Made it to our level. Collapsed on my platform. Sobbing. Exhausted. Alive. Safe. Saved. His name was Tyler. College student. Had been backpacking when the outbreak started. Survived alone for 50 days on the ground. Constantly moving. Constantly hiding. Constantly terrified. He was malnourished. Dehydrated. Injured. But alive. We gave him water. Gave him food. Gave him safety. Gave him hope. Told him he could stay. Could join our tree community. Could survive with us. He cried. Thanked us. Couldn't believe he'd found other people. Couldn't believe he was safe. Couldn't believe he'd survived. We were 3 now. 3 survivors. 3 tree dwellers. Marcus, Sarah, and Tyler, 2 trees. 3 platforms. 1 network. 1 community. We were growing, expanding, building something. Maybe more survivors were out there. Maybe we'd find them. Maybe we'd connect them. Maybe the trees would save us all. Maybe vertical survival was the answer. Maybe we'd discovered something important. Something that could save humanity. Or at least save us. Save the 3 people in 2 giant sequoias in the giant forest in Sequoia National Park. Save us from the infected below. Save us from isolation. Save us from despair. Save us from giving up. That was enough. That had to be enough. Because it was all we had. All we could hope for. All we could build. 3 people. 2 trees. 1 hope. That was day 50. That was where we were. That was what we'd become. Tree survivors. Vertical humans. The people who'd gone up when everyone else ran away. And we were still here. Still alive. Still fighting. Still surviving. Still hoping. That was something. That was everything. That was survival. Day 51. Tyler struggled to adapt. He'd survived 50 days on the ground through constant movement. Always running. Always hiding. Never staying in one place. Now he was in an 8x10 platform 85 feet up. Confined. Static. Trapped in a different way. He couldn't handle it. Paced constantly 3 steps one way. 3 steps back. Couldn't sleep, kept jerking awake. Thinking he was falling. Couldn't eat, anxiety killed his appetite. He was breaking fast. I understood. I'd gone through my own adaptation. But I'd built my platform gradually. Had time to adjust. Tyler had been forced into it. Saved from immediate death but imprisoned in safety. The psychological whiplash was destroying him. Sarah and I tried to help. Talked to him. Encouraged him. Gave him tasks. Gave him purpose. but he was spiraling. We could see it, could feel it, could sense the tragedy coming. Day 54. The temperature dropped. November was arriving. Sierra Nevada winter was coming. I'd survived summer and early fall in the tree. Warm weather, comfortable temperatures, but winter would be different. Cold, potentially freezing. Snow, iced storms. The tree platform wasn't insulated, wasn't heated, was just wood and tarp 85 feet in the air. When temperature dropped below freezing, I'd be exposed, vulnerable, at risk of hypothermia, at risk of death from cold instead of infected. I started added more tarp layers, created wind barriers, collected extra clothes from scavenging runs, made a sleeping bag from blankets and duct tape, prepared as best I could, but I knew it wouldn't be enough. Winter in the mountains is brutal. Nighttime temperatures could drop to 20 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. I'd freeze, slowly, painfully, unless I found a heat source, unless I adapted, unless I got lucky. Day 56. Sarah suggested fire. A small fire on the platform for warmth. I said no. Too dangerous. Wood platform, dry tarp. One spark could ignite everything. I'd burn to death 85 feet up, or the platform would collapse. I'd fall, either way, dead. Fire was suicide. Sarah agreed, but noted we'd need something. Some way to generate heat. Some way to survive winter. We had maybe 3 weeks before serious cold hit. 3 weeks to figure it out. 3 weeks to solve an impossible problem. Heat without fire. Warmth without risk. Survival without dying. Day 58. Tyler tried to leave. Said he couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't handle the confinement. Needed to be on the ground. Needed to move. Needed space. We tried to stop him. Explained the risks. Showed him the infected still wandering below. Explained he'd survived 50 days running, but eventually they'd catch him. Up here, he was safe. Down there, he was dead. Eventually, inevitably, mathematically certain, he didn't care. Started climbing down. We watched, couldn't stop him, couldn't physically restrain him without risking both falling. Watched him descend, reach the ground, start walking, confident at first. Then, infected appeared. 3 of them, then 5, then 10. Tyler ran, fast, disappeared into the forest. We lost sight of him. Heard gunshots later, he'd had a pistol. Must have taken it from somewhere. Heard screaming, then silence. Tyler was gone. Dead or infected. Either way, lost. 3 days with us, then gone. We'd tried to save him, tried to give him sanctuary. He'd chosen the ground, chosen movement over safety, chosen death over confinement. We mourned, but understood, some people can't adapt, can't change, can't accept the new reality. Tyler was one of them. The ground took him back, just like it had taken everyone else who'd stayed down there. Day 60. 2 months in the tri-faced the truth. I was slowly starving. Despite hunting, despite Sarah's foraging, despite our combined efforts, the caloric intake wasn't enough. I'd lost 20 pounds now. 185 gives 165. Sarah had lost similar weight. We were wasting, deteriorating. Surviving but dying slowly. The tree kept us safe from infected, but couldn't provide enough food. Couldn't sustain us long term. We needed more. Needed better hunting. Needed livestock. Needed gardens. Needed something beyond subsistence, foraging. Needed a miracle. Day 63. The first snow fell. Light dusting, beautiful, deadly. Deadly snow meant water. I could collect it, melt it, drink it. But snow also meant cold. Freezing temperatures, hypothermia risk. I wore every piece of clothing I had, for layers, wrapped in blankets, wrapped in tarps, shivering constantly. The platform had no heat, no insulation, was just exposed wood in freezing air. I was camping, extreme camping, at 85 feet, in winter, in the Sierra Nevada. This was insanity. This was survival. This was all I had. Day 65. I discovered body heat sharing. Sarah crossed the rope bridge, came to my platform. We huddled together, shared body heat. 2 people generate more warmth than one. Basic thermodynamics. We'd alternate, spend one night at her platform. She'd spend the next night at mine. Together, we'd survive the cold. Alone, we might freeze. This wasn't romantic, wasn't intimate, was pure survival, was using each other's bodies as heating elements, was doing whatever it took to not die from hypothermia, was becoming more animal than human, but staying alive, that was what mattered. Life over dignity, survival over comfort, breathing over everything else. Day 68, I heard helicopters, military helicopters, flying over the park, search and rescue maybe, looking for survivors. I grabbed my flares, had 3 left from my ranger kit, lit one, held it high, bright red smoke, visible for miles. The helicopters changed course, flew toward me, came close, circled my tree. I waved, screamed, signaled desperately. They saw me. I know they saw me. Made eye contact with the crew through the open door. Then they flew away, left, didn't land, didn't rescue, didn't help, just observed and departed. I collapsed, cried, screamed, raged. They'd seen me. Seen a survival. Seen someone alive, and left. Why? Too difficult to extract. Not worth the risk. Following orders to only evacuate from designated zones. I'd never know, but they'd left. Abandoned me. Confirmed I was on my own. No rescue coming. No salvation from above. Just me and Sarah and the trees and the winter and the infected and the slow starvation. That was reality. That was truth. That was my future. Die in this tree or find a way down. Those were my options. And going down meant infected. Meant death. So I'd stay up, stay alive, stay abandoned, stay forgotten, stay surviving in a tree while the world moved on without me. Day 70, a major storm hit. Not snow. Freezing rain, ice rain, the worst kind, hit the platform like bullets. Soaked through the tops, soaked through my clothes, soaked me completely. I was wet, freezing, shivering violently. Hypothermia was setting in, core temperature dropping, thinking getting fuzzy, movement getting sluggish. This was it. This was how I'd die. Not infected, not starvation, hypothermia. Freezing to death, 85 feet up in a tree during an ice storm while the infected wandered. Safely below me. Irony, cruel irony. Sarah saved me. Crossed the rope bridge during the storm. Insane. The rope was icy and slippery. She could have fallen and died, but she crossed, reached my platform, stripped my wet clothes off, wrapped me in dry blankets from her platform, held me, shared body heat, forced me to stay awake. Don't sleep. You sleep, you die. Stay with me. Keep talking. Keep moving. Don't give up. She saved my life. I would have died without her. Would have frozen. Would have given up. Would have let the cold take me. But she didn't let me. Refused to let me die. Refused to be alone again. Saved me from the storm. Saved me from myself. Saved me from giving up. Day 72. I recovered. Slowly. Body temperature normalized. Shivering stopped. But I'd been changed. Had been that close to death. Had felt it coming. Had almost welcomed it. The cold. The peace. The end. Part of me had wanted to stop fighting. Stop suffering. Stop surviving. Just let go. Let the cold take me. Let it end. That terrified me. Terrified me more than infected. More than starvation. More than anything. Because it meant I was breaking. Mentally, psychologically, the isolation and confinement and constant stress were eroding my will to live. Were making death seem preferable. Were destroying my survival instinct. I was losing. Not to external threats. To internal collapse. To despair. To hopelessness. To the crushing weight of surviving without purpose. Without hope. Without end in sight. Day 75. Infected behavior changed. They'd been wandering randomly before. Individual hunters scattered, but now they were grouping. Moving together, coordinating somehow. I watched from my observation post. Saw them form groups of 20, 30, 50, moving through the forest together. Not aimlessly, purposefully, like they were searching. Like they were hunting, like they were learning, evolving, adapting. This was new. This was dangerous. This meant the rules were changing. Meant my tree might not be safe forever. Meant they might figure out climbing. Might learn to work together to reach me. Might evolve past my defenses. Might kill me yet. Day 78. Sarah and I had our first fight. Over food. I'd hunted a deer, used another precious bullet, 11 remaining. Brought the meat up. She wanted half. I said no, I'd shot it. I'd risked the descent. I'd earned it. She said we were partners. We shared everything. This was betrayal. I said survival wasn't socialism. I'd taken the risk, so I got the reward. She said I was becoming selfish, becoming cold, becoming something inhuman. I said she was welcome to risk hunting herself. She said she would. Left angry. Crossed back to her tree. Didn't talk to me for 2 days. The silence was crushing. Worse than before I'd met her. Before, I'd been alone. Expected silence. But now I'd had community, had connection, had relationship. The sudden loss hurt more than constant isolation. Made me realize how dependent I'd become. How much I needed her, not just for survival, for sanity, for humanity, for proof I was still human. Without her, I was just an animal in a tree. With her, I was a person. The fight had to end. I had to apologize, had to share, had to choose community over selfishness. Had to be human even when being animal seemed smarter. Day 80, we reconciled. I sent the deer meat across on the pulley, 50-50 split, along with a note, "I'm sorry, you were right, we're partners, we share everything. I was wrong, forgive me." She sent back a note, "We're in this together, always, don't forget again." We talked on the radio that night, cleared the air, re-established trust, reaffirmed partnership, but the fight had revealed something ugly in me, something selfish, something that valued my survival over community, something that saw Sarah as competition instead of ally, something that scared me, made me wonder what I was becoming, made me question whether surviving was worth it if it meant losing myself completely, losing my humanity, losing my soul. Day 82, another storm, bigger this time. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. The platform shook. The tree swayed. I'd never felt the tree move before. Giant sequoias are stable. Their massive trunks resist wind. But this storm was powerful. The tree bent, swayed, moved. My platform rocked. I tied myself to the trunk with rope. If the platform broke, I'd dangle instead of fall. Would still be 85 feet up, but at least not dead. The storm raged for 6 hours. Thunder, lightning, wind, rain. The tree groaned, creaked. I heard branches snapping, heard wood cracking. Thought the tree might fall, might break, might kill me. But it held. Ancient wood, 3,000 years old. It had survived worse storms. Would survive this one. Would keep me safe. Would be my shelter and my prison for another day. Another week, another month, however long this took. Day 85, I saw smoke. Not from a fire, from a chimney. Someone had built a shelter. Someone was burning wood for heat. Someone was surviving on the ground. I watched through binoculars. Couldn't see the shelter too far, too hidden, but saw the smoke. Knew someone was there, living, thriving maybe, using fire, staying warm, eating cooked food, living like humans instead of animals. They'd solved the problems I couldn't, had heat, had comfort, had normalcy, while I froze in a tree eating raw meat and unwashed plants. They'd won. I'd survived, different outcomes, both alive, but they were living, I was existing. They were human, I was becoming something else, something less, something wild, something lost. Day 88, I climbed to the top of the tree, to the very top, 250 feet up, the highest I'd ever gone. The branches were thin here, flexible, dangerous, but I had to see, had to know, had to understand the scope, had to see the world beyond my limited view. I climbed carefully, reached the top, looked out, saw for miles, saw the entire park, saw smoke from multiple fire survivors scattered through the forest, saw the cities in the distance dark, dead, burning in places, saw the mountains, saw the valleys, saw the world, saw that I was one tiny person in one tiny tree, in one tiny park, in one tiny part of a dying world, saw my insignificance, saw my isolation, saw my futility, saw that surviving here meant nothing, changed nothing, saved nothing. I was just prolonging the inevitable, delaying death, buying time for no purpose, surviving to survive, existing to exist. Nothing more, nothing meaningful, nothing important, just one man, one tree, one meaningless survival in a world full of meaningless deaths. I climbed down, returned to my platform, sat there for hours staring, thinking, processing. The view from the top had broken something in me, some illusion, some hope, some belief that this mattered, that surviving mattered, that I was accomplishing something, that this had purpose, but it didn't. I was just alive. That was all. No greater meaning. No heroic struggle. No important mission. Just biological imperative. Just cells refusing to die. Just survival instinct overriding reason. Just existing because stopping seemed harder than continuing. That was day 88. That was the truth. That was what I'd learned at the top of a 250-foot tree. That surviving was pointless. But I'd keep doing it anyway. Because I didn't know how to stop. Because giving up was harder than continuing. Because I'd come this far and couldn't quit now. Because I was stubborn. Because I was human. Because I was lost. Because I was broken. Because I was still alive. And being alive meant surviving. Even when survival was meaningless. Even when it hurt. Even when it would be easier to fall. To let go. To end. I'd keep going. Day 89, day 90, however many it took. Until rescue came, or I died, or the world ended completely, or something changed. Anything changed. Because this existing in a tree at 85 feet while the world died below, this couldn't be forever. Couldn't be permanent. Couldn't be the rest of my life. Could it? I didn't know. Couldn't know. Just knew I'd survived 88 days. Would try for 89, then 90, then however many came next. That was all. That was everything. That was survival. Meaningless, painful, necessary. Survival. Day 89. I awoke to silence. Wrong silence. Every morning, Sarah would radio at 8 a.m. Check-in. Morning routine. Never missed it. Not once in 60 days. But today's, I checked my watch. 8:15 a.m. No call. I radioed her. Sarah, this is Marcus. Morning check-in. You there? Nothing static. I waited. 8:30 a.m. Still nothing. Panic rising. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I looked at her tree through binoculars. Saw her platform. Saw movement. No, not movement. Swaying. Her tarp was flapping in the wind. Loose, unsecured. Sarah never left things unsecured. She was meticulous. Careful. Something had happened. I had to check. Had to cross. Had to know. I crossed the rope bridge. Faster than safe. Didn't care. Reached her tree. Climbed to her platform. Found it empty. Supplies scattered. Tarp torn. Signs of struggle. Blood on the wood. Not much, just drops. But blood. Sarah's blood. And Sarah was gone. Not on the platform. Not on the tree. Gone. Fallen. Taken dead. I didn't know. Couldn't know. Just knew she was gone, and I was alone again. Completely alone. The only human in the trees. The only person at 85 feet. The only survivor in vertical isolation. Sarah was gone. My partner, my friend, my lifeline to sanity. Gone. I searched, climbed up her tree, climbed down, called her name, radioed repeatedly, scanned the ground below, saw infected wandering, but no Sarah, no body, no sign, just absence, just empty space where a person used to be. She'd vanished, disappeared, ceased to exist, and I had no idea how, no idea why, no closure, no answers, just loss, sudden, complete, devastating. I'd lost Tyler, now I'd lost Sarah. I was alone again. The isolation crashed back in, heavier than before, more crushing than before, because now I knew what I'd lost, knew what community felt like, knew what connection meant, and had it ripped away, had it taken, had it destroyed. I was alone, day 89 alone, again, maybe forever this time. Day 90, I couldn't function, couldn't eat, couldn't think, couldn't move beyond basic survival, just existed, breathed, waited, for what? For Sarah to return. She wasn't coming back. For rescue. Hadn't come in 90 days. Wouldn't come now. For death. Maybe that was what I was waiting for. For permission to stop. For the final excuse to give up. For the end. Day 90. 3 months in the tree. Alone. Broken. Dying slowly from the inside while my body stubbornly kept breathing. While my heart kept beating. While my cells kept metabolizing. While life continued despite having no reason to continue. That was day 90. That was where I was. That was what I'd become. A breathing corpse. A living ghost. A survivor who'd forgotten why surviving mattered. Day 92. I found her. On the ground. At the base of her tree. 400 yards away, but visible with binoculars. Her body. Broken. Dead. She'd fallen. Must have fallen during the night. During the storm maybe. Slipped. Lost her grip. Fell 85 feet. Died on impact probably. Neck broken. Body twisted. The infected had found her. Had fed. What remained wasn't Sarah, wasn't human, just meat, just remains, just proof that the tree hadn't saved her. That height wasn't absolute safety. That vertical survival had the same ending as ground survival death, just took longer, just delayed the inevitable. Sarah had survived 70 days in her tree, then fell, then died, then became food, just like Tyler, just like everyone else. The tree hadn't saved her, had just postponed her death, given her 70 extra days of life. 70 days of struggle and cold and hunger and fear, then killed her anyway. The tree gave, the tree took, the tree was neutral, indifferent, uncaring, just wood, just biology, just physics. And physics said falling from 85 feet killed you. Gravity was absolute. Sarah had learned that, had paid the price, had died. And I'd watched through binoculars, unable to help, unable to save, unable to even reach her body to bury it. Just watched, just documented. Just survived while she didn't. Again, always surviving while others died. Always being the one left behind. Always alone. Always cursed with survival. With continuing, with existing, while everyone else got to stop. Day 95. I made a decision. I was going down. Permanently. The tree had saved me from infected, but it was killing me in other ways. Killing my mind. Killing my spirit. Killing my humanity. I'd become an animal. A thing that ate and slept and breathed but wasn't human anymore. Wasn't Marcus Chan. Wasn't a park ranger, wasn't a person, just a survivor, just a creature in a tree. And I couldn't do it anymore, couldn't be this anymore, couldn't exist this way anymore. I'd rather die human on the ground than survive as an animal in a tree. I'd rather face infected and die quickly than face months more of isolation and die slowly from madness. I'd rather end it on my terms than let the tree have me. Rather choose my death than have it chosen for me by gravity or starvation or insanity. I planned my descent. Would climb down on day 100, 5 days from now. Would give myself 5 days to prepare, to gather courage, to make peace, to say goodbye to the tree, to the platform, to the life I'd built 85 feet above the ground. 5 days, then I'd go down, then I'd face whatever came, then I'd die or I'd survive. But I'd do it on the ground, like a human, like Marcus Chen, not like the tree creature I'd become. Day 96, I heard not helicopters, ground vehicles, multiple vehicles, heavy engines, military maybe, convoy. I watched through binoculars, saw them 5 trucks, army trucks, National Guard markings, driving through the forest on fire roads, clearing infected, searching for survivors, maybe, for resources, for something. They were close, maybe 2 miles away, close enough to reach, close enough to signal, close enough to be saved. I made noise, fired my gun 3 shots into the air, 8 rounds remaining, didn't care, needed to be heard, needed to be noticed, needed to be saved. The gunshots echoed, carried, the convoy stopped, changed direction, drove toward my vocation, toward my tree, toward me. They'd heard, they were coming rescue after 96 days, after I'd given up hope, after I'd decided to descend and die, after Sarah's death, after everything, rescue was coming. Finally, the convoy reached my tree. Soldiers got out, looked up, saw my platform, saw me, called out, "Survivor, we're National Guard, you're safe, we're here to extract you. Can you climb down?" I tried to speak, my voice didn't work, hadn't spoken aloud in days. Since Sarah died, since I'd given up, my throat was raw, my voice was gone. I just nodded, started climbing down, slowly, carefully, for the last time. This was it, this was the end of tree life, the end of vertical survival, the end of isolation. I was descending, returning to ground, returning to humanity, returning to civilization, or whatever was left of it. I climbed, took 20 minutes, my muscles were atrophied from 96 days of limited movement. My hands were weak, my legs were shaking, but I climbed, reached 40 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet. The soldiers were calling encouragement, telling me I was almost there, almost safe, almost done. I could see their faces now, real human faces, not Sarah's face, not Tyler's. New faces, strange faces, but human, real, alive, proof the world still existed, proof civilization still existed, proof I hadn't been alone the whole time, proof that down here, below the trees, life continued. I reached the ground, my feet touched dirt, solid ground, for the first time in 96 days. The sensation was overwhelming, strange, wrong almost. I'd forgotten what ground felt like, forgotten the stability, forgotten the permanence. I collapsed, my legs wouldn't hold me, too weak, too atrophied. The soldiers caught me, held me up, spoke to me. I couldn't process their words, just sounds, just noise. My brain couldn't handle human interaction, couldn't handle being saved, couldn't handle the ground, couldn't handle anything except the overwhelming realization I'd survived. 96 days in a tree, and I'd survived. Against odds, against logic, against sanity, I'd survived. They loaded me into a truck, gave me water, real water, clean water, not rainwater collected in dirty bottles, fresh water, cold water, delicious water, gave me food, real food, Mr. Eastman, not great food, but prepared food, cooked food, human food, not raw meat or tree bark or seeds. I ate slowly, my stomach couldn't handle much, had shrunk, had adapted to starvation rations, but I tasted civilization, tasted normalcy, tasted salvation. They asked questions. Who was I? How long had I been up there? Was I alone? Had I seen other survivors? I tried to answer, told them about Sarah, about Tyler, about 96 days in a tree, about vertical survival, about everything. They documented, took notes, seemed impressed, seemed shocked, seemed disturbed. I'd survived longer alone than anyone they'd found. I was an anomaly, a statistical outlier, a success story, or a cautionary tale, depending on perspective. Day 97, I was in a field hospital, temporary military base. They'd established a safe zone, cleared infected from a 10-mile radius, created civilization, tents, generators, lights, running water, medical care, food, safety, everything I'd missed, everything I'd survived without, everything I'd forgotten existed. I was being evaluated. Medical examination, psychological evaluation, debriefing, processing. They documented everything, measured everything, quantified my survival, physical condition, weight, 142 pounds down from 185, lost 43 pounds, 23% body weight, height, 5 feet 10 inches, unchanged. Obviously body fat, approximately 8%, dangerously low. Near starvation threshold, muscle mass, severe atrophy, especially legs, limited movement in tree injuries, countless scars, healed fractures, finger, toe, chronic back pain, malnutrition, severe vitamin deficiencies, anemia, protein deficiency, dental, to cavities, gum disease, no dental care for 96 days, cardiovascular weakened, resting heart rate, elevated stress response, immune system, compromised, multiple infections, healing mental condition, PTSD, severe, multiple trauma events, deaths witnessed, constant threat, isolation, depression, clinical level, suicidal ideation, documented anxiety, extreme panic attacks when on ground feels exposed, vulnerable isolation effects, difficulty speaking, difficulty processing social interaction, survivor's guilt, crushing, especially Sarah and Tyler dissociation, frequent episodes, doesn't feel real, doesn't recognize self. Boclum for GGN89100 SON Gunla VAIN Ike SON Boclum Devum Edio Y Orum DA 89. I woke to silence. Wrong silence. Every morning Sarah would radio at 8 a.m. check-in, morning routine. Never missed it. Not once in 60 days. But today's, I checked my watch. 8:15 a.m. no call. I radioed her. Sarah, this is Marcus. Morning check-in. You there? Nothing static. I waited. 8:30 a.m. still nothing. Panic rising. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I looked at her tree through binoculars. Saw her platform. Saw movement, no, not movement, swaying. Her tarp was flapping in the wind. Loose, unsecured. Sarah never left things unsecured. She was meticulous, careful. Something had happened. I had to check, had to cross, had to know. I crossed the rope bridge. Faster than safe. Didn't care. Reached her tree, climbed to her platform, found it empty. Supplies scattered, tarp torn, signs of struggle, blood on the wood, not much, just drops. But blood, Sarah's blood, and Sarah was gone, not on the platform, not on the tree, gone, fallen, taken, dead. I didn't know, couldn't know, just knew she was gone and I was alone again, completely alone, the only human in the trees, the only person at 85 feet, the only survivor in vertical isolation. Sarah was gone, my partner, my friend, my lifeline to sanity. Gone. I surged, climbed up her tree, climbed down, called her name, radioed repeatedly, scanned the ground below, saw infected wandering, but no Sarah, no body, no sign, just absence, just empty space where a person used to be. She'd vanished, disappeared, ceased to exist, and I had no idea how, no idea why, no closure, no answers, just loss, sudden, complete, devastating. I'd lost Tyler, now I'd lost Sarah. I was alone again. The isolation crashed back in, heavier than before, more crushing than before, because now I knew what I'd lost, knew what community felt like, knew what connection meant, and had it ripped away, had it taken, had it destroyed. I was alone. Day 89. Alone again. Maybe forever this time. Day 90. I couldn't function, couldn't eat, couldn't think, couldn't move beyond basic survival. Just existed, breathed, waited. For what? For Sarah to return. She wasn't coming back. For rescue, hadn't come in 90 days, wouldn't come now. For death, maybe that was what I was waiting for. For permission to stop, for the final excuse to give up. For the end, day 90. 3 months in the tree, alone, broken, dying slowly from the inside while my body stubbornly kept breathing, while my heart kept beating, while my cells kept metabolizing, while life continued despite having no reason to continue. That was day 90. That was where I was. That was what I'd become. A breathing corpse, a living ghost, a survivor who'd forgotten why surviving mattered. Day 92, I found her, on the ground, at the base of her tree, 400 yards away but visible with binoculars. Her body broken, dead, she'd fallen, Must have fallen during the night. During the storm maybe. Slipped. Lost her grip. Fell 85 feet. Died on impact probably. Neck broken. Body twisted. The infected had found her. Had fed. What remained wasn't Sarah. Wasn't human. Just meat, just remains. Just proof that the tree hadn't saved her. That height wasn't absolute safety. That vertical survival had the same ending as ground survival death. Just took longer. Just delayed the inevitable. Sarah had survived 70 days in her tree. Then fell. Then died. Then became food. Just like Tyler. Just like everyone else. The tree hadn't saved her. Had just postponed her death. Given her 70 extra days of life. 70 days of struggle and cold and hunger and fear. Then killed her anyway. The tree was neutral, indifferent, uncaring, just wood, just biology, just physics. And physics said falling from 85 feet killed you. Gravity was absolute. Sarah had learned that, had paid the price, had died, and I'd watched through binoculars, unable to help, unable to save, unable to even reach her body to bury it. Just watched, just documented, just survived while she didn't. Again, always surviving while others died. Always being the one left behind. Always alone. Always cursed with survival. With continuing, with existing, while everyone else got to stop. Day 95. I made a decision. I was going down. Permanently, the tree had saved me from infected. But it was killing me in other ways. Killing my mind. Killing my spirit. Killing my humanity. I'd become an animal. A thing that ate and slept and breathed but wasn't human anymore. Wasn't Marcus Chen. Wasn't a park ranger. Wasn't a person. Just a survivor. Just a creature in a tree. And I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't be this anymore. Couldn't exist this way anymore. I'd rather die human on the ground than survive as an animal in a tree. I'd rather face infected and die quickly than face months more of isolation and die slowly from madness. I'd rather end it on my terms than let the tree have me. Rather choose my death than have it chosen for me by gravity or starvation or insanity. I planned my descent. Would climb down on day 100. 5 days from now. Would give myself 5 days to prepare, to gather courage, to make peace, to say goodbye to the tree, to the platform, to the life I'd built 85 feet above the ground. 5 days, then I'd go down. Then I'd face whatever came. Then I'd die or I'd survive, but I'd do it on the ground. Like a human, like Marcus Chen, not like the tree creature I'd become. Day 96, I heard engines, not helicopters, ground vehicles, multiple vehicles, heavy engines, military maybe, convoy. I watched through binoculars, saw them 5 trucks, army trucks, National Guard markings, driving through the forest on fire roads, clearing infected, searching for survivors maybe, for resources, for something. They were close, maybe 2 miles away, close enough to reach, close enough to signal, close enough to be saved and made noise. Fired my gun 3 shots into the air, 8 rounds remaining, didn't care, needed to be heard, needed to be noticed, needed to be saved. The gunshots echoed, carried. The convoy stopped, changed direction, drove toward my vocation, toward my tree, toward me. They'd heard, they were coming. Rescue. After 96 days. After I'd given up hope. After I'd decided to descend and die. After Sarah's death. After everything. Rescue was coming. Finally, finally, finally. The convoy reached my tree. Soldiers got out, looked up, saw my platform, saw me, called out, "Survivor, we're National Guard. You're safe. We're here to extract you. Can you climb down?" I tried to speak. My voice didn't work. Hadn't spoken aloud in days. Since Sarah died, since I'd given up, my throat was raw. My voice was gone. I just nodded, started climbing down, slowly, carefully, for the last time. This was it. This was the end. The end of tree life. The end of vertical survival. The end of isolation. I was descending, returning to ground, returning to humanity, returning to civilization, or whatever was left of it. I climbed. Took 20 minutes. My muscles were atrophied from 96 days of limited movement. My hands were weak. My legs were shaking. But I climbed, reached 40 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet. The soldiers were calling encouragement, telling me I was almost there, almost safe, almost done. I could see their faces now. Real human faces. Not Sarah's face, not Tyler's. New faces. Strange faces. But human, real, alive. Proof the world still existed. Proof civilization still existed. Proof I hadn't been alone the whole time. Proof that down here, below the trees, life continued. I reached the ground. My feet touched dirt. Solid ground. for the first time in 96 days. The sensation was overwhelming, strange, wrong almost. I'd forgotten what ground felt like, forgotten the stability, forgotten the permanence. I collapsed, my legs wouldn't hold me, too weak, too atrophied. The soldiers caught me, held me up, spoke to me. I couldn't process their words, just sounds, just noise. My brain couldn't handle human interaction, couldn't handle being saved, couldn't handle the ground, couldn't handle anything except the overwhelming realization I'd survived. 96 days in a tree, and I'd survived, against odds, against logic, against sanity. I'd survived. They loaded me into a truck, gave me water, real water, clean water, not rainwater collected in dirty bottles, fresh water, cold water, delicious water, gave me food, real food, Mr. E's military rations, not great food, but prepared food, cooked food, human food, not raw meat or tree bark or seeds. I ate slowly, my stomach couldn't handle much, had shrunk, had adapted to starvation rations, but I ate, tasted civilization, tasted normalcy, tasted salvation. They asked questions. Who was I? How long had I been up there? Was I alone? Had I seen other survivors? I tried to answer, told them about Sarah, about Tyler, about 96 days in a tree, about vertical survival, about everything. They documented, took notes, seemed impressed, seemed shocked, seemed disturbed. I'd survived longer alone than anyone they'd found. I was an anomaly, a statistical outlier, a success story, or a cautionary tale, depending on perspective. Day 97, I was in a field hospital, temporary military base. They'd established a safe zone, cleared infected from a 10-mile radius, created civilization, tents, generators, lights, running water, medical care, food, safety, everything I'd missed, everything I'd survived without, everything I'd forgotten existed. I was being evaluated, medical examination, psychological evaluation, debriefing, processing. They documented everything, measured everything, quantified my survival, physical condition. Weight 142 pounds down from 185, lost 43 pounds, 23% body weight, height, 5 feet 10 inches unchanged. Obviously body fat, approximately 8% dangerously low, near starvation threshold muscle mass, severe atrophy especially legs, limited movement and tree injuries, countless scars, healed fractures finger, toe, chronic back pain. Malnutrition, severe vitamin deficiencies, anemia, protein deficiency, dental, 2 cavities, gum disease, no dental care for 96 days, cardiovascular, weakened, resting heart rate elevated, stress response immune system, compromised multiple infections, healing mental condition, PTSD, severe, multiple trauma events, deaths witnessed, constant threat, isolation, depression, clinical level, suicidal ideation, documented anxiety, extreme, panic attacks when on ground feels exposed, vulnerable isolation effects, difficulty speaking, difficulty processing social interactions, survivor's guilt crushing, especially Sarah and Tyler dissociation, frequent episodes, doesn't feel real, doesn't recognize self. They said I needed months of treatment, physical therapy, psychological therapy, medication, time, rest, recovery. They said I'd beaten the odds, said I'd survived the impossible, said I should be proud, should feel accomplished, should feel victorious. I felt nothing, empty, hollow, broken. I'd survived, but what had I survived for? What had I accomplished? I was alive. Sarah was dead. Tyler was dead. Thousands were dead. Millions maybe. And I was alive, in a hospital tent, being congratulated for outlasting people who'd probably been braver, stronger, better than me. I'd survived by hiding, by going up, by avoiding instead of fighting, by being a coward in a tree. That was my accomplishment. That was my victory. That was what they were praising. I felt sick day 100. They asked if I wanted to see my tree, to go back one last time, to collect my belongings, to say goodbye. I said yes, needed closure, needed to see it from the ground, needed to understand what I'd done, what I'd survived, what I'd become. They drove me there, armed escort, cleared the path, killed infected in the area, made it safe. We reached the tree, my giant sequoia, my home, my prison, my salvation, my curse. For 96 days, looking up at it from the ground, I couldn't believe I'd lived up there. Couldn't believe I'd survived in that tiny platform visible as a small shadow 85 feet up. Couldn't believe I'd done this. Had been this desperate, had been this alone, had been this lost. I didn't climb back up, physically couldn't, too weak, mentally couldn't, too traumatic, just stood at the base, looked up, remembered, day 1, building the platform, day 20, establishing routine, day 40, meeting Sarah, day 60, surviving winter, day 89, losing Sarah, day 96, descending. All of it, or 96 days, compressed into one moment, one memory, one experience, one trauma, one survival, one life, one death, one rebirth. Standing at the base of the tree, I was both the person who'd climbed up on day 1, and the person who'd descended on day 96, both Marcus Chen and the tree creature, both human and animal, both alive and dead, both saved and lost. I was everything and nothing, survivor and victim, victor and defeated. I'd won by surviving, I'd lost by surviving. Both were true, both were permanent, both were what I'd carry forever. They gave me my belongings from the platform. Someone had climbed up, collected everything, brought it down, my journal, my tools, my remaining supplies, evidence of 96 days, proof it had happened, proof I hadn't imagined it. I took the journal, left everything else, didn't need reminders, didn't need artifacts, just needed the words, the documentation, the proof that Marcus Chen had existed in that tree, that he'd survived, that he'd endured, that he'd lost himself and found something else, something darker, something harder, something that could survive but couldn't live. That was what the journal documented. That was what I'd carry. That was what I'd become. Epilogue: 6 months Letarium, writing this from Fort Hunter Liggett, California. Military base. Survivor settlement. 6 months after descent. April now, spring. Temperature is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm, pleasant, safe. The base has 2,000 survivors. Has infrastructure. Has military protection. Has society. Has civilization. Has everything I'd missed in the tree. Has everything that should make me happy. But doesn't. Can't. Won't. Because I'm not the person who should be happy anymore. I'm not Marcus Chen, park ranger. I'm Marcus Chen, tree survivor. Different person, damaged person, broken person, alive person, barely dot. The physical damage is permanent. I've gained back 15 pounds, 157 now. Still 28 pounds below starting weight. Can't gain more, my metabolism is destroyed. My digestive system can't process normal amounts of food. Eating more than 1,200 calories per day makes me sick. I'm stuck at this weight. Permanently malnourished. Permanently weakened. The doctors say it might improve. Might. Probably won't. Starvation damage is often permanent. I'll carry this forever. Visible proof of what I endured. Physical scar of survival. My muscles never fully recovered, especially my legs. 96 days of limited movement caused permanent atrophy. I can walk, can function, but can't run. Can't climb, can't do the things I used to do. Can't be a ranger again. That life is over. That person is dead. I'm what remains. What survived, what's left, not the same. Never the same. Different. Worse. Broken. The psychological damage is worse. Much worse. I have severe PTSD. Nightmares every night, falling from trees. Watching Sarah fall. Being trapped in the platform during storms. Starving slowly. Freezing. Dying alone. Wake up screaming. Multiple times per night. Sleep maybe 3 to 4 hours total. Rest is just trauma replay. Just reliving. Just suffering. Just remembering. The doctors give me medication. Helps slightly. Doesn't stop it. Can't stop it. Because it's not illness. It's memory. It's truth. It's what happened. You can't medicate away reality. Can't prescribe pills that erase 96 days of horror. Can only dull it slightly. Make it bearable. Make it survivable. Make it something you can live with instead of die from. I can't be on the ground comfortably. Feel exposed, vulnerable, wrong. My brain learned that ground equals danger. That up equals safety. That height protects and ground kills. Can't unlearn that. Can't reprogram that. It's fundamental now. Wired into my nervous system. My survival instinct. When I'm on ground level, I'm constantly anxious. Constantly scanning for threats. Constantly looking for escape routes upward, constantly feeling wrong, unsafe, terrified. The only place I feel calm is elevated. Second floor buildings, observation towers, anywhere with height, anywhere that mimics the tree, anywhere that lets me be the tree creature I became. That's the only place I can breathe, can relax, can exist. Ground is torture. Height is home. I'm reversed, inverted, wrong, broken. I can't socialize. Can't handle groups. Can't handle crowds. 96 days alone destroyed my ability to process social interaction. Too much input, too many voices, too many people, overwhelming, paralyzing, terrifying. I can handle one person, maybe two, more than that, and I shut down. Dissociate, stop responding, stop being present, stop being human, revert to tree creature, to survival mode, to isolation. It's automatic, involuntary, protective mechanism. But it makes civilization impossible, makes community impossible, makes relationships impossible. I'm alone in a settlement of 2,000 people, surrounded by humans but isolated, forever isolated, because isolation is what I learned, what I became, what I am now. The survivor's guilt is crushing, unbearable, all-consuming. I survived. Sarah died, Tyler died, Ranger Stevens died, thousands died, millions died, and I survived. What made me special? What made me deserving? Nothing. I'm not special, not deserving, not better, just lucky, just cowardly, just willing to hide in a tree while others fought and died, just willing to survive at any cost, just willing to become something less than human to stay alive. That's why I survived. Not because I was strong, because I was weak, because I ran, because I hid, because I climbed up instead of standing ground. That's my survival story. That's my truth. That's what makes me a survivor. And I hate it. Hate myself. Hate what I became. Hate that I'm alive when better people are dead. Hate that surviving was my contribution. That hiding was my strategy. That cowardice was my strength. I survived, and I'll never forgive myself for it. They asked me to teach survival courses, to share my experience, to help train people in vertical survival strategies, to turn my 96 days into doctrine, into procedure, into something useful. I've refused, because teaching it means encouraging it, means telling people it's okay to run, okay to hide, okay to abandon others and save yourself, okay to become what I became. And it's not okay. None of it is okay. I survived, but the cost was too high. The price was my humanity, my identity, my soul. I traded everything to keep breathing, and I'm not sure that was a good trade. Not sure it was worth it. Not sure I won. Maybe I lost. Maybe surviving was the worst outcome. Maybe dying on day one with my crew would have been better, would have been easier, would have let me die as Marcus Chen instead of live as this broken thing. This survivor, this creature, this mistake. But I'm here, still breathing, still existing. Can't change it now, can't go back, can't die retroactively. You just have to live with it. Live with being alive, live with surviving. Live with the guilt and trauma and damage and brokenness. Live with being the park ranger who climbed a tree and stopped being human. Live with being the man who survived by becoming animal. Live with being Marcus Chen, tree dweller, survivor, coward, victor, broken, alive, cursed with existence. That's who I am now. That's what 96 days created. That's what the tree gave me. That's what I'll be forever. They've preserved my tree. The National Park Service, they've marked it. Put a plaque, survivor tree here. Marcus Chen lived for 96 days during the outbreak, demonstrating human resilience and adaptation. Resilience, adaptation. Nice words. Clean words. Words that don't capture what actually happened. Don't describe the starvation, the cold, the isolation, the madness, the loss, the breaking, the becoming, the surviving. The words make it sound noble, heroic, inspiring. It wasn't. It was desperate, pathetic. Animal survival at its ugliest. Survival stripped of dignity. Survival that destroyed the person who survived. But they don't put that on plaques. Don't tell that truth. Don't want people to know what survival actually costs. What it actually requires. What it actually does to you. I visited once, after they put up the plaque. Stood at the base. Looked up. Could see my platform still there. 85 feet up. Weathered now, worn but intact. Still there. Still proof. It's still monument. Still reminder. I couldn't stay long. Couldn't handle it. The memories were too strong. Too painful. Too real. Being there made it all come back. All 96 days. All the suffering. All the loss. All the becoming. I left quickly. Haven't been back. Can't go back. Can't face it. Can't face what I did. What I became. What I survived. The tree is there. Will always be there. Ancient sequoia. Will outlive me. Will outlive everyone. Will stand for another 3,000 years. With my platform rotting slowly in its branches, with my survival documented on a plaque at its base, with my ghost living in its canopy forever. The tree and I are linked now forever. It saved me. It trapped me. It broke me. It made me. We're one now. Marcus and the tree. The ranger and the sequoia. The human and the wood. Forever connected. Forever changed. Forever surviving. Forever cursed. I'm Marcus Chen, 28 years old. Former park ranger. Current survivor. Living with permanent damage from 96 days in a giant sequoia tree during the zombie apocalypse. I lost 43 pounds. Lost my strength. Lost my friends. Lost my humanity. Kept my life. Don't know if that was a fair trade. Don't know if I won or lost. Just know I survived. And survival was uglier than I expected. Harder than I expected. More costly than I expected. I became something inhuman to stay alive. Became an animal in a tree. Became a creature of instinct and desperation. Became everything I never wanted to be. But I survived. That's what matters. That's what they tell me. That's what I tell myself. That's the lie I live with. The comfortable lie. The necessary lie. Because the truth that maybe dying would have been easier, kinder, better, is unacceptable, unsayable, unthinkable. So I survived. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm breathing. And that has to be enough. Has to mean something. Has to be worth it. Because the alternative that I suffered for nothing, that I lost everything for nothing, that I became this for nothing's too painful to accept. So I survived. And I'll keep surviving. Because I don't know how to do anything else anymore. Because the tree taught me to endure, to persist, to exist, to survive, no matter the cost, no matter the pain, no matter what I lose, survive. That's the lesson. That's what I learned. That's what I am, survivor forever. Whether I want to be or not, the tree stands. I stand. We both survived. We both endured. We both remained. And that's all there is. To survivors, wood and flesh, ancient and temporary, permanent and broken, both still here, both still standing, both proof that survival is possible, both proof that survival costs everything, both warnings, both monuments, both testaments to endurance and to loss, both alive and dead simultaneously, both cursed with existence. That's what we are. That's what we'll always be, the tree and the man who lived in it, the sequoia and the survivor, forever linked, forever changed, forever marked by 96 days of vertical survival, forever proof of what humans can endure, and what enduring costs. Thank you for listening to my story, my 96 days, my tree, my survival, my loss, my becoming, my truth. Remember it, learn from it, but don't romanticize it. Don't make it heroic. It wasn't. It was desperate. It was ugly. It was necessary. It was survival. And survival is never beautiful, never clean, never simple. It's just staying alive, at any cost, by any means, becoming whatever you need to become, losing whatever you need to lose, surviving. That's all. That's everything. That's the truth. That's what I learned 85 feet up in a giant sequoia for 96 days while the world ended below me. Stay safe. Stay human if you can. And if you can't stay human, at least stay alive. Because alive is better than dead. Even when alive feels like death. Even when survival feels like loss. Even when breathing feels like suffering. Alive is better. Has to be better. Must be better. Because I'm alive. And I have to believe that mattered. That it was worth it. That 96 days of hell bought me something. Bought me anything. Bought me a future. Even if that future is this. This broken existence. This damaged life. This survivor's cursed. This is what I bought. This is what I have. This is what I am. And it has to be enough. Because it's all I have. All I'll ever have. Survival. Just survival. Nothing more. But nothing less either. Survival. That's my story. That's my ending. That's my life now. Survivor forever. For better or worse. Mostly worse. But still here. Still breathing. Still existing. Still surviving. That's enough. Has to be enough. Is enough. Survival.